see the teddy bear are here to play. If you don't come play with us, then we will kill you. When we come to see you, the teddy bear are here to play. If you don't come play with us, then we will kill you.
Hey, Tim Gross here from GrossMovieReviews.com. Don't forget to watch this panel so you can see me just shit all over everybody just because they believe in ghosts.
Alright, well everyone, thank you for coming today. My name is Christine Soltis. This is one of our SolsticeNightSky Productions panels. Rickert Beagle is the host of this event. Thank you to Chris as always. We're going to start off by telling you this is a paranormal panel, so it is about ghosts, demonic possessions, things like that, occult figures. A lot of which you've been seeing a lot in movies lately. Occult figures especially seem to be, kind of being a popular theme these days. But first I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. We'll start down there with you and just tell everybody who you are and your viewpoint on the whole topic.
Okay, my name is Tim Gross, author of Gross Movie Reviews, GrossMovieReviews.com, Blood Baths and Boomsticks podcast, and also co-director of Jagoff Massacre. I completely think ghosts are crap, and I honestly don't believe in it. I will get into that when we talk about it. I will put it out there. I do want to believe. But my main reasoning behind why I think ghosts are kind of crap, I think shows like Ghost Hunters and Paranormal State and some of those other shows
They're crap.
Yeah, they've ruined that culture of just not even ghost hunting, but just making it you believe in ghosts or the devil or even just events that you can't explain. I think they've kind of broke that barrier that once it was there, you would always have this belief that, yeah, there is a possibility. Where now with these shows and them doing these shows, pretty much they make it like, oh, any place you could go into, there is a ghost. No, it isn't. It's crap. Okay, move on. And like I said, there's very few and far incidents of paranormal, but I would like to believe. I will say that.
I'm with you on that, but the one thing the shows did is bring it up front into the spotlight.
Yeah, but they bring it up as though no matter what building they're going to go to, they claim, I mean, literally, if you watch...
They don't always find something, though.
Well, the thing
it's been 10 years and Ghost Hunters hasn't
Never
found
found
something.
That's also essentially a Hollywood depiction. So we'll finish we'll finish through our introductions before we start slinging money. All right, Matt Demas, tell us about
My name's Matt Demas, like she just said. I'm a writer, horror in particular. I have my own trademark finally that I just started just roughly 2 years ago, Demon Zombie Projects. And I'm a firm believer in the paranormal realm, I should say. And I guess we'll get there. Send on questions there.
Okay, Kelley Sparks.
Hi. I'm an amateur ghost hunter. I completely believe in spirits and such. I don't believe in those shows.
Like I said, I think they've ruined it. Yeah.
They have ruined it, but they still brought it to the forefront so people can get into it and not feel like idiots.
Or feel weird.
Doing it, yes.
Yeah, because it is an accepted part of society,
Yes, definitely. And it's real.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, we'll move on to me. I'm Christine Soltis. I just arrange these panels with a company that has SolsticeNightSky Productions. I write books. I've written 20 so far. I also work in the field of private investigations. So these are the things that kind of eat up my life. along with travel. Just came back from Salem, so you'll see a couple little gifts for the panelists here from Salem, Massachusetts. And I love the idea of spirits. I write about them, but I have never seen evidence of it. And the fact remains that I am scientific in nature, and it's not that I don't believe, it's just that I have not seen anything to give myself proof of the matter. Now, when it comes to the paranormal, I've found that there are essentially, I think, 3 types of people when it comes to them. They're the closet believers. They're the people who never say anything about ghosts or anything until, you know, maybe you're sitting out with them and they're drunk and they start telling you about the story where they got haunted by something. They'll never, ever tell you that in person, like when they're, you know, not drinking or having fun with friends. They kind of, like, try to hide their belief in ghosts. They don't even want to talk about it. So I call them closet believers. The second type are the avid ghost hunters or spiritual persons. They live this life, they live for Halloween, and then they live for haunted places, adventure, and any excitement that comes with being, you know, in a spiritual realm or another plane of existence. And then, of course, there are the skeptics. These are the persons who do not believe in the ghost stories. They don't believe in Hollywood horror, and they don't believe in reported tapping noises that insinuate the ghost is present. Okay, now that you've met all of our panelists, I am going to start out by asking them all different questions. You're going to see their different perspectives on each one, and then they'll probably debate it. So we will start with Kelley this time.
Oh, yay.
Okay. So we did already get a little bit of information on their perspectives during their introduction, but the first question is, what is your perspective in regards to the paranormal? Are you a closet believer, an avid ghost hunter, or a skeptic? And please elaborate.
An avid ghost hunter.
Okay.
I look for places to hunt, and I want to see things. I enjoy looking for stuff that nobody else is gonna believe or see.
Can you tell us about some of those experiences?
I've always believed since I was little. I've always, every once in a while, you know, like the shadow you'd see behind you or something. But the first real one I saw was at Darmine. It's down in Fayette City. There was a mine accident early 1900s. A lot of people died. It is haunted. We were down there just sitting by the river, just doing an EVP session, and I turned around and a shadow went flying across the path. And it was a small shadow, so it was a boy. And that's the first time I've ever actually seen anything that prominent.
What makes it the boy? I mean, like you said it's smaller.
They were mining, and so they had children doing the mining. So I assumed it was a boy, just a small child, because it was a little shadow figure, and it was a full shadow figure, head, legs, arms, everything.
All right. Well, we can go on to
Well,
that.
I just, if you don't mind, what made you decide you want to decide, like, how to explain this? What made you decide, I want to ghost hunt, I want to have this experience in part B of that question would be, like, do you go to known places like maybe Gettysburg, things of that nature, or do you seek out places that maybe might not be on the map, or places that people don't frequent as much for ghost hunting?
You're gonna have fun with this one. Like I said, I've always believed, but until these shows started coming on, I didn't tell people because, you know, they think you're crazy.
You were a closet believer then.
Then I was, yeah. I never told it. Didn't talk about it with anybody. So the shows started coming on. It started coming out, and people started doing it, and groups started showing up. So I got on the internet one day and just found a group. Started ghost hunting with them. And yeah, I've been to Gettysburg. Didn't experience anything there, which made me want to lose it because I wanted to.
Yeah.
We did a lot of cemeteries, places that, like, out in the middle of nowhere.
maybe cemeteries that might not be as well taken care of as
Yeah.
the ones that are closer to the city.
And the one that I had to go to though was Quaker.
Okay.
Had to go there. And that place is, yeah.
Is
But
this something that you walk in and you feel like energies or something?
Oh, you walk in there and you definitely know there's something. That place is crazy.
But you felt nothing out in Gettysburg? Not on the
I
battlefield
didn't
or in the cemetery?
see anything.
Me
Okay.
neither.
But
I
then-
went on a haunted trail thing there and I didn't see.
And I did the Jenny Wade house too.
Yeah, I've been there, yes.
What
I
time
don't
do
know
you do
either.
your investigations?
Always at night.
Midnight?
You know, always at night. The one
I
guy,
always went between the hours of like midnight and all the way to like 4 a.m.
Well, let's
Yeah,
move
we
on to
did that.
Matt then. We'll ask.
Fine,
Yeah,
just
what was-
squash that. Thanks.
What was the question again?
Stop talking, Kelly, show one.
No, it's perfectly fine. I just wanna,
Let's get to our real star.
yeah, I wanna y'all to explain and elaborate.
nice.
Matt, what is your perspective in regards to paranormal? Are you a closet believer, an avid ghost hunter, or a skeptic?
I'm actually a very firm, open believer with the ghost spirits, even the demonic spirits. And at one point, I was a ghost hunter. I did it for a handful of years, you know that. But just over the last, I'd say, maybe a good 7 years, 6, 7 years, I haven't done any paranormal ghost hunting, anything like that.
Well, how long did each of you do that? Have you, just...
Since actually I can go probably from 14 and 15, maybe to maybe 20, 21, something like that.
I started in 2008 and did it for a good 5 years or so.
Yeah, I just haven't really had the time anymore, but I'm still would like to do it. I just can't find the time into doing it. I don't think I was ever a closet believer. I was pretty
You've always been
open-minded to it
about
too,
that.
but I've met more people that were non-believers than believers. Kristen wasn't really much of a believer until we hooked up, and
She was a closet
she got to
believer?
experience some things.
Yeah.
I'm sure she did. That's why you have a couple of kids.
I don't think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to
Ghost hunting, experiencing things, same difference.
Alright, Tim, so, what is your perspective in regards to the paranormal?
Honestly, put it this way, I don't believe in ghosts as much as maybe I might believe a little bit into the paranormal, more of like, can people's minds move things? Can you feel a presence? Yeah, but I just, I'm old. I kind of still believe, I'd like to believe people would believe in the devil and stuff like that. I think days like that is gone. And I respect what Kelly does. Totally respect. It's all cool. It just, me joking around with it. But I've never seen anything that has me question, yes, there is ghosts out there. Nothing legitimate that makes me say, yeah, there's ghosts, there's all this other stuff. Can there be present, like a presence or something there, make somebody do something, or reason that I brought up Gettysburg. I just think somewhere like where there has been so much death in one area, I think even if you don't believe, you can walk through there no matter what time of the day, or, just even if you're with friends, I believe you could feel something there. And I don't think it has to be a ghost, just because of what happened there, that I could believe in. The one thing that actually recently in the past year that has made me completely not be totally against ghosts And it's weird, but my dad died about 11 years ago. And on the coldest day of the year, everybody remembers when it was -10 out, sitting in my car, freezing my ass off to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was like a childhood memory that came back like in an instance and made me look in my back seat. I smelled cigarettes, Javon musk, and coffee, and that was what my dad did all the time, constantly. And just anytime I was with him, he'd smell like cigarettes, have that stupid $5 cologne on, and the Century 25s that the dude like smoked on by the packfuls a day, and literally made me look back and just think, it made me think like, yes, there can be a presence. Now the ghost where, you know, the ones that we see in Scooby-Doo, the wearing the white sheet, or Charlie Brown with all the holes in it, I just don't see that happening, but I would like to think it can. And I love the movies that, you know, Exorcist with the, you know, the devil. I'd love to think that stuff happens, but again, like I said, between the shows, Ghost Hunters and Paranormal State, and even like the Paranormal Activity movies, I think have ruined that line of belief that there can be ghosts. Now, stuff maybe like, especially because I love movies and that's my field, Haunting in Connecticut and The Conjuring that recently come on, and The Innkeepers, I think are movies that have slightly opened people's minds up to think, yes, there can be, you know, good ghost stories still out there. Because it just seemed to be, the past 20 years, just lame ghost stories, boring, they're, you know, I just think it's more of a society thing. Because a lot of people in society don't even believe in God or the devil these days, and I think that has a lot to tie into ghosts or the paranormal, but yeah, I'm all for, like, you know, people's minds blowing shit up, like Scanners, and you know, all kinds of stuff like
Scanners.
that. I love Scanners. Come on, it's an awesome movie. But yeah, it just, like I said, I would love to believe. I just can't bring myself to believe. And if you want to be a ghost hunter like Kelly, totally respect that. But I just think, like, the ones that claim they got into it, and I think it's the other thing, like the Ghost Hunters and the Paranormal State. And if none of you know about this, not only those two shows, but I forget the other show that was on Discovery. I think it might have been Ghost Adventures or Dead Fuck, something like that. This late summer, all those people, I guess all their contracts were up at the same time, and it got into this big, huge squabble. And it boiled down to basically, they believed they weren't getting paid enough. And I just feel, if you're truly a ghost hunter, maybe like Kelly here, you would do it no matter what. You're going to do what you love. I write movie reviews because I love it. I enjoy it. Do I make a ton of money off it? No, but I'm still going to be doing it until I die. And that is the thing. When they weren't getting the money they weren't getting, they all just came out and basically said, it's all bullshit. And it's like, we already knew that, but you just like demolished what was left of anybody, what anybody was thinking. Because literally Sci-Fi Channel, up until the last minute, had trouble putting together that 200th episode of Ghost Hunters together, because none of them like each other, none of them believe in it, and it's like people like Kelly who are trying to legitimately do this and believe in this, they kind of just took a big old, cover your ears kids, they took a big old shit on that, and that's just, it's a shame, because people like herself, and I know other people like Kelly who totally believe in that stuff and wanna make people believe. I feel bad for Ian's, and it's part of the reason why I joke a lot about it. I feel bad for Ian's because there's too many people out there, and the way society has shifted in the past decade has made it impossible to believe in ghosts like me. So.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I might get drunk, but I can talk.
Well, my perspective on it is, you know, I believe, you know, as, you know, I respect what Kelly's doing. I respect that Tim has his own opinion. I'm not, you know, completely closed-minded on the issue. It's just the fact that I've never seen anything. So the way I would reason that is that all of our brains are different. Like, for example, when I watch a lot of ghost movies, I think they're all the same. They don't scare me. A lot of them, it's always knocking, tapping, door shutting, you know, all of that stuff just drives me
Paranormal
nuts.
Activity.
But it's like many of them. Like, I started to come to a point where I can't even watch a ghost movie and it doesn't scare me. They have the same occult symbols all the time. Give me something different, you know. That's kind of where I stand on it. But one thing is, what was the one where they astral projected? Insidious.
Yeah.
Where they astral projected, and that was, you know, a way to come in close contact with the ghosts, and things like that. I think that is one of the more realistic depictions of this, because it's a different brain matter, it's a different brain type, it's a different gift. Because every person has a different brain that has a different function. I don't think that ghosts are on this plane of existence. I think they would be on a parallel existence. I do not think that, because if they were on this plane of existence, everyone would see them all the time. I think there's a line, and I think there's some people who can cross it and some people who can't. Myself personally, I don't want to see ghosts. I love writing about them, but I don't want to see them because it'd probably shit myself.
And actually,
But-
if you see a ghost, like if we were sitting here right now and boom,
They
like
wanna-
a ghost
wanna
popped
hear
up, if you see a ghost, it's because they wanted you to
Yeah.
see it. They can, you know, you can feel a presence and not see
Yeah,
anything.
somebody who wants to see it, you know, will bring that to fruition. And another thing is I always think about the unfinished business thing, about how when a ghost dies and there's unfinished business. Now when I think about it, if I have unfinished business at work, I leave that at work. You know what I mean? I'm not still there. I leave and I go somewhere else. I believe they must also go somewhere else. Whether or not they're hovering to look into, you know, whatever it might have been, or watching that, you know, whatever unfold, if that's possible. That's what I would think. I would not think they were here. I would think they were close, but not here. But I'm also very into like parallel dimensions and worlds and things, because a lot of them are becoming scientifically studied right now as we speak. And I think there's a place for everything. I just don't think they're on our plane. And like people, you know, like Kelly or Matt who see them, maybe they have something different that allows that. It's my personal opinion on it.
You were talking about astral projection. I wanted to
I
bring
love
up
it. If I could do it, that's one thing I think I'd love to do.
a cool sequel
Yeah.
that people do not talk about. Jim Wynorski's 976 Evil Part 2. Check it out.
Yeah.
Very
Sounds
cool.
good. 976 Evil. I'll check it
Part
out.
2. Part 1 has Evil Ed from Fright Night.
Yeah.
Completely
Oh,
different
no.
movie,
Oh,
yes.
that's cool. All right, we're going to start with Matt on the next question. Matt, describe your most vivid paranormal experience. Include the date, your age, and scenery at that time.
Don't talk about us last night.
That was a very spiritual experience.
Oh, yes, it would be.
There is I have several stories on that. Most of them as a little kid, but I'm gonna try to just sum this one up all in general. And I mean, if you listen, I would like your opinion on what you think. You did ghost hunting. You ever hear of Livermore?
No.
Livermore. Okay. Well, it's you.
Where's
have.
that located at?
It's what the hell is the exact location? You just follow out the parkway, you take the Murraysville exit, you just keep Route 22.
You're going east.
It's
Like
right
towards
on.
Bradenville and Apollo and all that stuff.
That's
But,
yeah, it's somewhat out there. You could, if you're going like Apollo, that would be more 66.
Yeah, it's roughly, I'd say, well, I was from Millville. From Millville to there took about an hour. But you go down there, and there's only like one way down, one way out. And this was like August of 2005. A buddy of mine who we did the ghost hunting with, he actually ended up finding the location. There's a cemetery, and there's a town that was, if you remember, we all learned about the Johnstown flood. Well, Livermore, the town flooded the same time that Johnstown did. But we got there and it was pretty dark. And if you do ghost hunting, or if you're gonna go anywhere to a so-called haunted place, keep it between 2 to 4 people. You know, 5 or more it'll ruin it. You're gonna get no activity, anything like that. But we got into the cemetery, and as we got in, from the distance, there was a very high, loud pitched scream. Sounded like a woman was like in trouble or in pain. I was like the only one that actually heard it at first, and it was a buddy of mine and his girlfriend. I mean, like, you didn't hear that. I'm getting all crazy, like, how the hell did you hear that? But then it happened again, and then we all together heard it. And have you ever seen the movie Fallen?
Is that the one with Denzel Washington?
Yeah. You know, they sing, what the hell is that Rolling Stones song, that Time Is On My Side? Well, within a minute after, like, we heard the screaming, but it was like close, but it was like still in a distance. Out of nowhere, this guy comes walking towards us from the cemetery. He got a shovel, a mattock, or a pickaxe, whatever you want to call it. He had a gallon of water. I can remember what this guy looked like to the bone, too. He had jeans on, he had a white dirty t-shirt, and he was wearing a hat. He had a very, like, redneck southern accent. And as he's getting closer to us, nobody's saying anything. I'm like, this guy, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he started, like, kind of yelling at us, saying, oh, you just come here and you ruin and you destroy the cemetery. And we're like, oh, yada yada, we're ghost hunters, whatever. And he walked us through. We conversated for a little bit, and the energy that I was feeling from this guy, like I was actually like shaking, and I was like really cold. And so he said, well, do you mind if we continue through the cemetery? He's like, I'll walk. Oh, he said that he was there finishing, his mother just died, and he was finishing burying his dead mother. And this is still just very awkward. So he walked us about halfway through, and as he's in front of us, I'm saying to my buddy, like, snap a picture out of this guy, like trying to do it all so he didn't hear me. My buddy snapped a picture. The guy just stalked dead in his tracks, turned around and said, don't take pictures of me. You may look me up and you ain't gonna like what you see. And it was just like, wow, like this is crazy as hell. But he didn't take us all the way through. He just stopped in the middle. And I said to him, I'm like, whoa, is this place like really haunted? And then he took very offense to it. He's like, it's kind of a stupid question. He's like, look around you, you can't see them. They're all here. They don't want to go to the light. They want to stay here. It was just very, it was one of the things where you had to be there. But when he came walking at us, he was singing that song, Time Is On My Side. This is no bullshit. Strike me dead right here. And the screaming stopped. And we finished through the cemetery. You leave the cemetery, it's kind of like a cul-de-sac. You walk down, there's a circle. There was a truck there whenever we pulled up. But then we talked for a little bit longer. He said his name was Frank Myers. And in the Livermore Cemetery, there is a headstone that says, here lies the wife of Michael Myers. It's not a very obvious grave, but it's one of those ones that are flat and stay in the ground, you know what I'm talking about? Not the ones that stick up. It's like a little square in the ground. But I've gone there many times after that, and every now and again I would hear those screams, but when I was on my way out there, we got pulled over for speeding. And I got held up for about a half hour, and we still went. And then we even talked about it too, like, let's say that we didn't get pulled over, and we got there, what was that guy doing up there? We heard that screaming, so we know if that was anything ghosts or not, hearing those screams, or if that guy was back there, hacking somebody up, you know what I mean? I have no idea, but that was one of my...
It was Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, very awkward moments of experiencing some stuff like that, going up to the cemetery late at night like that, hearing those screams. And if you go there, you can, every now and again you hear them. But we were wondering, like, what was that? What was that guy doing? Was he really doing something? What was he doing?
Did you look him up? Did you try to search him?
Well, if you look up Frank Myers, because we did that.
It's a very common name. You'd
Yeah.
have to do it by this area that they live in.
Yeah, well, my one buddy did. He's like, oh, they said that he died back in 1956. I said to him, like, which Frank Myers?
Yeah, that's a
how
very
many,
common name.
It's kind of like
Right,
Mike
how
Smith
many
or something like that.
of them. And that was in 2005.
Did you go
So-
back to the cemetery to look for his headstone?
Well, I've gone
Ooh.
back several different times. There's actually something that's really sad. There was a headstone not finished. Somebody that was born in like 1850 something, and it has that engraved date, but it was never finished.
But it's
And then
not Frank. It's not Frank Myers, though.
No.
No, that's what I mean. Did you ever go back and look for Frank's headstone?
Not in particular. We've been back. I've been there several times. That's Kristen. I brought her with me. Also, it says about a train. There's train tracks that you have to cross over. Well, from my understanding, a train derailed down there a long time ago. And when you're wandering through the town, she's heard it, I've heard it. I
We've
think you've
seen
heard
it. Like we've
But we've
seen
seen,
the
yeah,
train.
we've seen it actually. Yeah.
And
You
they
know,
don't
you know
know
that
it.
trains can sound like a woman screaming too, right?
Well, from where you're at in the cemetery, if a train came, you would hear it plain as day.
Yeah.
Well, not if it's off in
Train.
the distance, though. I was raised around train tracks. It was far enough away from our house, but when the trains were way far away, it sounds like a woman screaming. And as they get closer, then it sounds less like a woman screaming.
Yeah, but I'll,
So-
I'll tell you what, I can distinguish very well of a train.
Sure, it
And,
wasn't
somebody,
Scooby-Doo on one of those cars going down.
I think I would have gone back and looked for his headstone, though, because
No, I mean, we went through the cemetery many times, because if you actually look up on it.
Was that a ghost you just caught? That's awesome.
Let the spirit be with you.
You're like Egon. That's great.
But no, there is. It's just of Myers. It was that here lies the wife of Michael Myers, and then there's a couple headstones, and they were like 3, maybe even 4 years old. Remember that one? That one was only like 3 years old. But it says, visit the cemetery before you go to the town, but you can't see the town from the trails anymore. When you go to cross over the train tracks, if you actually get out and walk about a half a mile down, like you'll come over, you go left, down the train tracks, you can see. It would be like being up in the distance and seeing the top of this roof.
Yeah.
The rest of it is all water. Well, if you look it up, you're not going to find much stuff on haunted Livermore, but I mean, you can learn the history, and it flooded. They said that they moved everybody out of the town. They moved the cemetery. That cemetery that you go to.
Not the bodies
original
like
one.
Poltergeist, huh? They moved the
Yeah,
cemetery,
it's
but not the
actually
bodies,
something.
probably.
It's something like that, really. Actually.
That would be
Think
awesome.
so?
But the cemetery is new. They supposedly moved all the graves.
Supposedly.
Supposedly,
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, if you're saying there was somebody there had on the tombstone said 1850 or 1858,
Yeah.
there's a possibility they didn't dig that up because it could have been because of the year. The coffin it was probably thrown in is
Yeah,
already
it's fragile. They'd have to replace
fragile,
it
it's
and
already
everything.
disintegrated.
That costs a lot of money.
Yeah, but Christine, if you don't mind, I wanted to ask a quick question going back to what you were saying earlier
Certainly.
about seeing ghosts, and I wanted Kelly's and Matt's opinion on it. I was just wondering, do you have any belief that there is a couple studies, even though it's hard to Google this information, the mentally ill being able to more easily able to experience ghost experiences because they're mentally ill, or I like just doing a little bit of research. There is even somebody written an article about autism that there is a possibility they believe because of their brains being wired differently that there's no like scientific studies on this, but they claim they believe they are able to see ghosts more often than maybe a ghost hunter or
I think that's
experience this.
fascinating. That's something I have not put enough research into to answer. We've previously talked about like little kids believing that they were their grandparents and things like that. So I don't know. I've researched stuff like that and just other things, but that's not.
because even the mentally ill.
But it's something I'm gonna look into.
Yeah, even the mentally ill, you got to wonder if they're able
Yeah.
to do that, and that's
Oh,
why I wanted to hear
certainly.
from these two.
That's why I'd say like different brain patterns.
I definitely think, yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think they're as it sounds, as jaded as people that aren't mentally ill or don't have autism. They don't see the things that we do. They don't have the capacity to not believe in something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're open.
that's true. Because we're kind of polluted with beliefs and everything like that.
Matt?
Well, I do know little children are more, more
Not
sensitive
educated
to
yet.
being able to. That's where the imaginary friends come in. As for like mentally ill, I do know. I'm not sure all of it, but I know like when people are mentally ill, they can be 30 years old, but really their brain's only acting
Mhm.
at like a 10-year-old level.
Well, that's why I even
And-
brought up autism, because me having an autistic kid going through that experience, you learn a lot of different things, and a lot of it is their brains, in order for them to function, a lot of times their brains will completely rewire themselves to do things differently. And
Yeah, the
trying
brain
to
is very
research that,
malleable, and
yeah.
that's something I wanted to say
Yeah,
too.
and
is-
actually research, oh, sorry, Christine.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Research, I mean, it's a whole other topic, but look into, like, research, like, God's special people, you know, it's, like, some people, I mean, you get some very ignorant people that don't understand the whole mentally challenged thing, but I know, even if you look into it and you even read some stuff, there's reasons why they're like that, spiritual in particular, you know, when it comes to, I don't want to really say Jesus Christ, but as with God. But I honestly think, I mean, I'm not really a scientist, but I mean, I can believe that people who are mentally challenged are more prone, open to seeing the things, and we wouldn't understand that. It's just something that you just nod to, like, okay. But poltergeists, if you research that too, they can be, I always forget the word, from a spirit of someone who is mentally challenged to even a young infant kid. Because poltergeists, they only make noise and they can mimic you. You know, you can be at home, you can hear, "Hey Tim, come here," and it sounds like, you know, your wife. But
that's
when you
fine,
actually
I
go
still
into the
wouldn't
room-
come.
But yeah, if you actually research on poltergeists, it's from an infant child, spirit of an infant child to someone mentally challenged, because they only make noise and they actually can only mimic. It's like they parrot what you do.
But some people believe that poltergeist activity also comes from a live human being that is in distress.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't like a poltergeist, isn't it supposedly believed that it, not so much evil, but kind of more disturbing, like
It's a negative energy.
Like
Yeah.
Negative energy, yeah. Somebody that's in distress is causing this stuff to happen.
Okay. And with that knowledge that we're bringing up, I also wanted to bring a point. Has anybody seen John Carpenter's The Ward? It's the last movie he did in 2010, 2011.
No.
Did you like it, John?
It was okay. Seeing so many horror movies.
Yeah.
You can foresee a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah, and especially coming from John Carpenter, it seems subpar. Now, with that knowledge, go back and rewatch that movie, because in bringing up the mentally ill part, it brings that movie into a different light, makes you think about it, and that's what Carpenter did during the 80s and early 90s. A lot of his movies made you think. Now, it might not be as good, but like I said, that was another point I was trying to draw out too. That movie, I think, is a couple of years ahead of its time. Some people are probably not going to agree with me, but yeah, just if you haven't had a chance, watch that movie. Through that, mentally ill people see things differently, because that's a big point in that movie, and it was one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up, and plus hear their perspective on it.
Well, that actually makes me think about the next one, because it seems to me like you might have seen something that your children might have done. So I know you don't have any
Keep it in the
vivid
closet.
paranormal
We
experiences.
keep a lot of things in the closet, Matt.
I mean, just your question makes me think that. But the second question was to describe your most vivid paranormal experience, including the date, age, and scenery. But if you don't have any yourself, then share with us something you might have seen, like your child was talking.
My wife told me this story a couple years ago. She loves the whole Gettysburg thing. She, not only just the Civil War, but just the stories behind both sides of it, the ghosts, the cemetery, the whole, even the ghost hunting aspect of it. I enjoyed it. I went out there about 2 years ago when Horror Find was out there. We went to Horror Find and then spent the rest of the weekend hanging out at, just wandering around Gettysburg. But she told me a story about my son, who's autistic. At the time, he was 11 years old. They're wandering through the cemetery, and he decided to sit down at a headstone, a plaque just in the ground, for many of the unknown soldiers. And he's, I wouldn't say nonverbal, but doesn't say a lot. And autistic depending what spectrum you're on, it can vary how much language you use. He doesn't use a lot, but when he does, it's like all of a sudden you pay attention because it comes out clear. And basically he started talking about, forget the name, but he was like, Sergeant someone is hanging out, and the wife was actually asking, what's that, Timmy? And he said it clear as day again, and he said, I'm gonna sit here and play. And he just sat there on this gravestone, sitting there, and I just like, okay, that's kind of cool, but kind of weird in the same sense. And it was kind of like I wasn't there, so I didn't experience it. But to hear a story like that, it still gives me a little bit of faith about ghosts and everything. But again, it goes into my theory, when there is so much death in one place. And that was kind of one of the things as a kid, we heard about, if anybody lives around Brookline, Dormont, Mount Lebanon area, there used to be a school now that they've destroyed it many, many years ago, but it's off of Fordham and Castlegate and Dunster. And there used to even be a monastery at one point, but now Mount Lebanon claims the property and they have like a senior citizen home up on the hill behind Seton LaSalle. Well, behind Seton LaSalle, there used to be a school years ago that even closed when I was a kid. When we were grade school, we'd run through there. We heard stories that there was fires and other stuff like that, and that basically people died. My curiosity was, even at that time, I wanted to see a ghost, so my dumbass would walk through a condemned school looking, see, hey, is someone going to come out and jump out at me? Never happened, but I'd always hear stories. Who knows if they were true, who knows what, but once that got torn down, there was like nothing around here. But it's always cool to think of that stuff, and I like to think that still exists. But again, it goes back into my theory that because of society and because of the shows, I just think, like you brought it up earlier, just so jaded and, you know, we're so screwed up that, you know,
certainly.
as humans that, you know, it literally, to me at this point, unless it's in front of my face, I'm like, yeah, I don't believe that crap, that's all crap. Yeah, Kelly's a bomb. But no, like I said, it's I would love for that stuff to be real, or even just the theory of it existing, I think is cool. And I think that theory of existing is cool.
With the mindset you have, though, you're never gonna.
Yeah, I know that. But
you're always gonna feel that way.
And see, that's why
you're not old enough to even.
Yeah, that's why I do respect like what you do. That's the amateurs that are into ghost hunting that are not there for the money. I think of the ones that people should truly talk to. The ones that are on the shows, the reality shows. I mean, they're in contract squabbles and everything else. These days.
They're gonna do whatever to keep their ratings high and stuff. All that paranormal state and we're sometimes warriors.
Yeah, I mean, they did get me interested in it.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
It can be fun to
watch. There are a bunch of videos.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I still think, you know, more than ever, this would be a perfect time. Like, people pooped all over this movie. It was a movie called Devil. It was the one where they're in the elevator.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's very cool, and it's like, that movie, when it came out, I don't know, 89, 90, people would have loved it. It came out in like a couple years ago. Everybody's like, oh, that's crap. But you can all go see Paranormal Activity 4. And as one friend puts the Paranormal Activity movies, I love this. He's like, I grab some pots, I throw them against the floor. We turn on the camera we're going to use for us, you know, for you porn, and pretty much that's what you got for Paranormal Activity movies. And it sums up the movies perfectly. And it's just like those days of The Exorcist are long gone. The days of the movie Trick or Treat, where, you know, people believe in the devil's music. I mean, even bands were brought to court for this stuff. I love Trick or Treat. But it's like those things are gone that, you know, keeps us from thinking, even, like you said, I'm never going to believe, but there's just society in general is not helping me to believe too.
But why are you letting society dictate what you
I won't. Believe me, if society dictated a lot of stuff, I would have quit writing 10 years ago. But I'm still writing.
Well, see, but that you believe in.
Yes, I do. I will always believe in writing reviews.
But you're still letting society dictate.
Yeah, but ghosts are not going to make Leprechaun 7.
What if they
Lord, I hope
did?
nobody makes Leprechaun.
Oh, I do. We need Puppet Master 13, okay? This is things that I need to have.
We need to hang up the person who made Leprechaun 1.
No,
Right?
we don't.
Oh,
Come on, that was Jennifer Aniston before Nose Job.
You guys
who cares?
And they had the dude from Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. And he was in Teen Wolf.
Worst movie ever.
Oh yeah, he was Ozzy.
See?
He was Ozzy. That was Ozzy in the first. Yeah.
Alright, well, I'll answer the
You've
next
just
question.
watched Kelly's mind explode and it was all over camera.
Okay, he was probably like 17.
Alright, well, I'll answer the next question. Mine's extremely brief, so then we'll go on to Kelly. Then we can start with question 3.
No, Kelly's interesting. I like.
She is. You guys are like new best friends.
Yeah, I like her counterpoints to what I have to say. She's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, good, good. Well, I seriously have not really had paranormal experiences. There was one that was, on the line of what the heck happened. And I was just a kid, and I was playing hide and go seek, and there was like this antique kind of chair. It had like a red, like little seat, like satiny seat that you sit on. And it was sitting there by the door where I used to live. And there was a blanket that came down over the chair. And I was playing hide and seek, like I said, with some friends and I think my siblings. And I was running back and forth, and I went past this chair, and it looked like something had started to push the actual blanket, like a hand. It could come out like this. I remember I got scared and I ran away, and then I came back and there was nothing underneath that chair. So that's the closest thing I've ever had to a paranormal experience. And I was a kid, like I was probably this big. I have no idea what the age was for Dave, but that's the extent of it. Kelly?
I have a few, not many.
Most vivid one, maybe date and age.
Yeah, I can tell you it was in my house in my bed.
Oh, well.
Matt, someone has you beat, buddy.
I had actually started right before I went to bed.
Yeah.
I was walking through my house, turning everything off, and I thought I saw a shadow. Excuse me. Behind me. Yeah, whatever. Used to it. Walked, laid down. I was getting to sleep. And some breathing in my ear. And somebody said, "Don't do it." Like, I jumped up, I shit myself.
Like, really? Are you okay?
Excuse me, sorry. No.
I was like, wait a minute.
Actually, can I get a drink?
It's what's left of what I have.
Sorry, we should
Sorry.
have waters.
Thanks, no, I just got over bronchitis.
Are you okay?
I'm trying.
You've been in Texas recently?
No. Sorry, everybody.
I'm bringing you a bottle of water.
Thank
Thanks.
you, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think she wants to keep drinking the German-fested beer.
That was really good. What is that?
Dingling.
Yingling, of course, everybody knows I'm drinking.
Anyways, I jumped up and I turned my head and I saw the shadow leaving my room. This probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It scared the crap out of me.
How big was it? Was it bigger than
Yes.
Is that essentially what you see a lot of? Is like shadows?
A lot of shadows.
I was going to say, just throw it.
That's really creepy for the camera, isn't
It's fine.
Thank
Say like they
Thank
say
you
in the
so much.
movies, they'll fix it in post. Or is it like they say on no-budget movies, they'll fix it in post and then never do it because they have no clue what they're doing.
Great. Yeah, it was like a normal size, not childlike. And, well, this one I experienced with my son. I was told I brought something home, which apparently I did, but, he was into military when he was little, figurines and all that stuff. We're sitting in the living room watching TV, and his room was right there. And you could hear somebody walking in his room and playing with his toys, like setting his toys off, and you could hear them walking, and actually heard them like talking and laughing too. And my son was like 7 years old.
All right, well, for the third question, we'll start with Tim.
Real quick, Kelly, was this a house you rented, bought, apartment?
It was a house I rented, and it wasn't haunted.
You didn't know any history of it or anything?
And I knew the person who actually built
Oh,
it,
okay.
so it wasn't an old house.
How old was your son?
Okay.
He was about 6 or 7.
No, I was just curious.
I was told that I brought them home.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe you.
From a house or a cemetery?
Actually, for one, it was from a cemetery. And I think from what I was told, the guy in his room was a World War I vet. And my son had gone to cemeteries and such with me at that point.
That's actually, not to cut off you, I never thought, like, when I was ghost hunting, I didn't have kids. That can be a really good, I wish I knew English a whole lot better, but what the hell is that word? You know, like, you're gonna go ghost hunting, but you can bring this in, it can actually,
You live in Pittsburgh.
Maybe,
you don't need to
help.
know English.
yeah, right.
Yinzers.
But yeah, you know, you can, actually, if you can bring a kid to a haunted place or whatever, that can, like,
Yeah,
kids
he's
about
dead.
this, like, their ages right here would be actually perfect for it.
Well, that's how you had kids in the first place. You were ghost
I
hunting.
still can't remember how I had the first one, really. I'm still trying to figure that out.
It's called ghost hunting.
Oh,
All right, we'll move on to Tim. We'll start you out with this one. I know that you are still a skeptic. But I just want you to see if you have, maybe some sort of experience that, it haunts you because you don't know what it was that happened. Maybe it was something that's paranormal that you're ignoring.
I'll be honest, not that I know of. I mean, as far as I can
Something
think
that you second guessed, that you questioned maybe.
of. No, I don't think it's paranormal. The only other thing I could even think of that would even be along those lines was quite a few years ago, early 2000s, when I was with Mike Watt and Amy Lynn Best, and we were filming. It was the last day of shooting on Severe Injuries, and they lived in Waynesburg at the time.
Yeah.
And I had a Ford Escort, and driving up 79, needed gas. I was getting off the Amity Lone Pine exit.
Oh.
Hit oil on the road apparently on the exit, and the car literally, I spun through a field up onto Route 40, I think it was, without hitting 3 barriers.
Oh, that's your
Literally spun around and missed 3 barriers and probably skidded 500 feet, and all I did was the fuel shut-off switch went off and the one tire came off the rim while spinning at like 50 miles an hour and didn't hit a damn thing. It's about the only thing I can't explain. It's about that one.
You know what's really interesting about that is that I went to get my tarot cards read at one of the last tour rooms I was at, and I don't always, I don't know what they're gonna say to me, but she said a lot of things that were pretty true about my life, oddly enough. And at the end, she was telling me that I had a spirit guide, somebody I didn't even know. I thought that was really cool. Especially it's kind of like a guardian angel. It's probably saying to you all the time.
But yeah, I was gonna say it was about the only other thing I can't explain, and then like the experience I was explaining about maybe a presence in the car with my dad. Like I said, it's about
It's very minor.
yeah, just nothing that screams, "Hey, I look back and there could have been something there.
Yeah.
There might have been something there, but yeah."
That was happening.
Yeah, it was really weird. I got up out of the car, called, said, "Hey, need a tow." It's like, should have been dead, but guess
I'm
what?
still here. All right. Well, go ahead, Matt. We're gonna do Matt next.
Wait, what?
All right.
Talk about your
describe
coming
a-
out of the closet, Matt.
Describe a moment that appeared to be a paranormal experience, and maybe it haunts you right now because you're not sure what happened during it. Something that you kind of think about, and you're like, I'm not sure what.
Not knowing how he has the
All right,
first
well,
kid.
Oh, that's definitely.
I'm still trying to figure out even how we had the second one. What happened?
What's going on?
Where'd they come from?
All these black
This
guys.
isn't a paranormal panel any longer.
Well, I used to feel really weird saying it, the whole sensitive side of being able to, feel spirits and feel presence. And then one day, I just actually was like, you know what it is, because it was mainly for me experiencing a lot of weird stuff as a kid, seeing things, hearing whispering in my ears, stuff like that. Well, my mom, I got that from my mom, because my mom is like that too. And I'm surprised she's actually not here, because I told her to come, because she's very big on
Did
this
the
topic.
voices tell her to stay home?
But my grandmother, her mother was a Rosicrucian or whatever it was. But it's actually up to this moment in time, because everywhere we live, and I'm always telling my mom, I swear this place is haunted. Weird stuff happens, and she always tells me, when you gotta realize that it's not the place, it's you. It's not the place, it's you. Well, where we're at now, I flat out told my mom, I'm like, it's not me. I'm like, there's actually something here that's going on. And it was, we moved there. The guy that I rent from, he's my landlord/project manager. And he was like, oh, there's TVs down in the basement if you want to use any of them. Well, we wanted to use one in particular. We have a daughter, and it was a pink Disney TV. We're like, oh yeah, Karina would like that. Well, we had that TV in her room, and it did everything all on its own. The volume turned down, it would turn off, whatever.
Wow.
And our flat screen ended up breaking, due to beautiful children. So we ended up using one of the TVs down in the basement until we got a new one. And this was how long? About 2 months ago?
Probably about that.
They weren't talking in black and white static.
I'm
were
just
they?
laying on the couch and I'm actually doing something on my phone, and I hear Kristen saying oh, there's a figure of a guy on the TV.
Oh,
To
hell.
include, we were watching a kid's Disney movie.
Yeah, we're watching a Brother Bear. I
Yeah.
remember it was Brother Bear that was actually on the TV. And I turn around and I'm looking, and there is a full figure, black shadow, of this guy on the TV. You can tell what his, he's standing with his arms folded. He paced back and forth, then he ducked down, came up, paced again, waved, and then walked off the TV. And I'm standing there, I'm like, this ain't a bootleg movie. Is this a bootleg
No.
movie?
And we rewinded it back and
I did
forth,
everything.
rewatched
Did
it
it
how many
keep-
times?
And
Nothing.
it was there every time?
No, it was only there that one
Oh,
time.
nice.
Again, yeah. And that was right around the time all that weird stuff's happening. You can research sleep paralysis, because that's something that I've always experienced. I think sleep paralysis is bullshit.
That's well, what happened to your sleep paralysis? Because somebody else I know who sees things has experienced.
Well, there's two things, but I believe it to be more the one. With the astral projection, supposedly at night we all astral project, and it's actually when your spirit is coming back into your body, it hits you very hard to wake you up, and that's why you can't move, because you're not fully in yet or some crap like that. But I believe it to be the dark demonic spirits.
Do you really think that everyone astral projects?
I think
It's just particular types.
if you get further in, research fluoride and everything, we all got, correct me if I pronounce it wrong, pineal gland. We all
Pineal
have,
gland.
we all have
Yeah,
one,
I know what you're
and
talking about.
the government destroyed that by putting fluoride in the water, and that's why we all can't use it. But, some people are sensitive, some people ain't. But in particular, when I would tell my mom about, that stuff that you told me, because what happened to my mom, and I would tell her about it happening to me. And one case in particular, I was sleeping, and in my daughter's room, there's somebody that she talks to in that room. In
And
the
it's her
closet.
grandfather. That's
Yeah.
what's weird.
Is that what
She
she
don't
said?
even call like my dad or his dad grandfather. It's Cap.
Yeah.
But whenever we moved there, she met a grandfather.
It's her
That's what was
Did
weird.
she ever meet him in the past? Or?
No, she's
Well,
never
that's what I'm-
spoken of a grandfather or anything.
Never until we moved there. And we've only been there a handful of months, but in the closet you can walk up and it's a trap door that you open up and you can go up there. You really can't walk around up there though. Sorry. You can fall right through the ceiling. There's just one path, like one board that you can walk on to open up this fan. And when it happened to me, I woke up and I couldn't do the moving at all. And you can scream that all the hell you want. Like, it got to the point with me, because I was explaining it to her, when we would go to sleep, I would have to hold her hand. Like, so if that starts to happen to me, I'm going to see if I can squeeze your hand, you can wake up and see what the hell is going on. Because you're weak. You can sit there and try to scream, or you cannot move. And at least for a minute, I mean, it could be just seconds, but to me, it seemed like it lasts a few minutes. But in particular, I heard walking up in the attic, and you cannot walk up there. Footsteps coming, and then I heard my daughter's closet door open up. And while I'm sitting there going on, I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, that thing's like really coming at me. I can't move, Next thing you know, I just snapped out of it, and I was like, wow. And when you snap out of it, it's like you ran 10 miles. You're sweating your ass off, and you're like out of breath, like, oh wow. It's a very scary experience, and I finally ended up researching it. Nothing comes up, it says sleep paralysis. That happens so you cannot act out your dreams while you're sleeping, and that's why you can wake up because you're still dreaming. They specifically say demonic, as in that's why you'll hear demonic noises or see demonic shapes. But why does it have to be demonic? You can be.
And it's happened before you even fell asleep.
Yeah, that actually was just recent. Where once I realized that it happened to me twice while I was not sleeping, that's when I realized something was like going. I'd always turn to my mom who knows that stuff, because I mean she knows what's going on. And my mom used to tell me she used to think it was her mom doing weird witch, black magic stuff.
Maybe you should drink more fluoride.
Yeah, research. Research sleep paralysis.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I just
Type
don't.
in what's going on, like waking up and not being able to move. You'll see what I'm
I
talking
mean, I experienced that. That's just because I don't want to get out of bed. All right, we'll move on to Kelly. Describe a moment that might have appeared more paranormal, but you're not sure if it actually was kind of a paranormal experience. Something that kind of haunts you because you're just not sure what happened.
I actually haven't had any experiences like that because
That usually you explain.
most of the time, yeah. I mean, I can't actually. I don't second guess things. Like if I know I put my keys in one place and they're not there and I'm the only person there, yeah, something took it and moved my keys. I don't
Stoner
second guess
moment.
things like that.
Did you ever have a moment where you couldn't find your keys because of something like that?
Oh yeah, I've lost tons of stuff that I still haven't found. But I lose it all the time. I don't second guess things like that.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Where you knew you had something sitting there, it moved.
Yeah, right. You
disappeared, and
misplace everything.
Next thing you
find
know,
it.
And
it
I've
just
had-
pops up out of nowhere.
Like him, I mean, I've had a car accident.
Yeah, I've had
That
those, definitely.
I mean, the one car accident that I've been in, I've, of course, younger, didn't have a seatbelt on. I had big potential of me going through the window and onto the road and getting run over, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, I've had quite a few of those too. That's our guardian angels. I
Yeah,
think.
the spirit
Those
guide.
spirit guides that we don't know.
Yeah, you don't got no spirit yet. I'm gonna go to your house and start drinking your water. You don't know how you had your kids. You got people walking up in your attic.
People showing up on our TV.
People, yeah, you got the guy from the Anthrax Among the Living album showing up on your TV.
Yeah, I'm moving with you guys. I don't get any of that where I am.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. You start. Can we just come to your house and make like
Well, the
Mickey
funny-
Mouse
it's
lunch
actually,
spoilers?
it's actually been fairly quiet lately. Over like the last month, it's been pretty quiet. But up until just recently, again, but the one next to us was getting remodeled, and that just got done. And
So they went over there.
She-
Well, and
experience.
too, our kids' beds, because our kids sleep side by side, like they're inseparable. And sometimes like we would hear, like it would sound like the wood dragging, and we would go in and like our son's bed would be pulled away from our daughter's bed.
well,
And-
she's even said that too, like oh. they're
or it
pulling
would
the
be like
blankets off
Karina's
of
bed
us.
pulled away from his, and they're always like they have to be touching
Yeah,
before they get into bed,
Right.
and it was like really weird.
Like, what the hell is that? When it has to be a monk. When it has to be like
Oh
a certain
yeah,
way.
OCD.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I still don't really have much by way of paranormal experiences, but I do remember when I was about 14 or 15, I used to stay at my best friend's house a lot. And one night, her brother and her brother's friend, two guys, they had gone out probably around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and were delivered papers. Now they came back. They were both, their faces were like white, you know, and they were just like scared. They said that something had been in the back of their vehicle while they were driving around delivering papers. So my best friend, female best friend, and I, we were like, oh, well, just take us with you. I don't really think something's gonna happen. So we get out to the car. There were like newspapers everywhere, just in disarray in the whole backseat of their car. So we're like, okay, we're gonna go with you. So we go, nothing happens, absolutely nothing. And I think they even, because we were young, they turned the lights out so that we would drive on a back road, like with no lights on. Still, nothing happened. And then, like, at that time, they were like, I think you block the spirits. They told me that. They said, they're scared of you. So I was always like, that is super cool. Block spirits. But that's, like, the closest. I mean, every time somebody has taken me on a night adventure or something because they wanted to see something, I've gone night hiking and stuff like that where people were scared and I'm not. And they're just like, I don't know what's going on. Why are you scared? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not.
So as a teenager, you were cock blocking ghosts.
I was bad. Well, I truly was. I was a little rebel. I like to go on, on missions, I guess you would call them. Kind of explains me now, right?
Sure.
Yeah, you're a little bit rebellious. You want to do stuff like sleep with the spirits. I actually, some of my two of my female friends that I'm still friends with, we would drive around on back roads late at night, and this is before I had my license because I didn't get mine until I was a little older. And while they were driving, I would sit in the back seat and I would put both hands up and I'd be like this on their shoulders, just like to scare them. They were like, ah! I was like, I'm the hand. So it was always like I was the one scaring them. I was probably scarier than any ghostly.
Did anything happen in Salem?
The what?
Nothing happened in Salem.
Well, Salem. We'll get to that. I love Salem. I truly love Salem. I've never seen anything there. We went to the cemetery on Broad Street, which is where some of the witches were buried. Which one? I can't remember which one was buried there. But we couldn't get in because they had signs up that said you can't go in after sunset.
Did you happen to take a ride over to Bangor?
Did what?
Happen to take a ride over to Bangor?
No, we got there, we stayed in Portland. Portland's kind of boring, they got really great food, but it's kind of boring, so we spent some time in Portland, and then I ended up getting a little sick, and then we didn't get over to Salem until November 1st, but it was really cool. It's always awesome over there, and that's why these little things here, kind of called to
I
me.
like that in particular.
What, this?
And that hourglass or the
No, that
minute-glass.
was Nick's, but he didn't show up, so now it's mine. You want to know something? I picked it up and I asked him. I said, "Do you think Nick would like this?" And then he doesn't even know Nick, and I was like, "Why did I ask him?" I was like, "Because I like it." And that kind of called to me from that little thing there. And that's yours.
Cool.
But yeah, if we
Little
want to.
stash spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Tell the kids right now. Yeah, that's what it is.
Put your spirits in there. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Here, cool.
Exactly.
Like that one that
spirits.
was flying around right here. I could use that. Then.
Well, we'll go on to the last question, then I have one bonus, and if anybody in the audience wants to say anything, that's awesome too. But number 4 is for us to elaborate on a repetitive symbol or maybe a dream that happens a lot and that may seem something like a man in a black hat, a reappearing child, a symbol, anything that comes from a dream or vision. Now I'm going to start this one off, and I have always had some very vivid dreams. While I don't see anything in person, I've always dreamed about locations. There's always a new place. It's like, it could be a White House, huge, with flowers like all around, and then there's like a blue porch that leads out there. And there's no reason for this dream. I mean, this location. There's nothing really going on except I'm there. And I've seen that. I've also seen like a small White House. In some of these dreams, an event will actually happen. Like I saw a small White House. It was kind of like a duplex, and it had like glass windows and everything. And something bad happened in that place. Another one that I saw was there was like it was like I was walking around this lounge, and there was like open windows, and I could see in before I went in there. And the weird part about that one is when we went to Maine, our hotel actually had like a bar restaurant that when you came around the corner looked just like what I'd seen in my dream. And that was just like last week, so I was a little like weirded out by that. But I mean, I dream about places all the time, and it might even have something to do with the fact that I travel a lot. But that's always weirded me out, is there's always a location. There's not always a theme, but there's always a location in my dream. So that's one thing I just wanted to share. So we'll move on to Kelly.
Okay. She was looking at you.
I know.
She was looking at you, actually, ma'am.
I was like, Kelly? A repetitive symbol, dream, something that, you know, you've seen a lot of.
Water.
Water?
I dream a lot about water and drowning for some reason, and I have no idea why.
Have you ever checked into like a past life maybe or something like that?
I've been told I've had one, but it had nothing to do with water.
Was there fluoride in the water?
Did you know Matt in this dream?
Nah.
Do I look familiar to you? Some of those people.
That's the kind of creepy state.
No,
We didn't need that.
No, I've always dreamt about water. I don't know what it is. Being out on a boat by myself. It sounds like nasty, but drowning.
Yeah.
And I did, one lady told me that I did have a past life, but it was Cleopatra's handmaiden.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. Which has nothing to do with water.
Yeah,
That's
unless there's
complete
a lot of
opposite.
washing over
Yeah, so I do have a lot of deja vu kind of things go on. Like, I've never met this person before, but I remember speaking to this person before.
Yeah.
Which I wanted to ask, since you brought deja vu up, do you consider that a paranormal experience? Or is it just a coincidence?
I don't know, actually. Honestly,
Because
I don't consider it paranormal.
Okay, 'cause
Paranormal.
I've had people explain to me deja vu experiences, and they've had them frequently throughout their lifetime. And that's one of the things you never hear it's classified, no matter you watch documentaries, any shows, or even read up on it. Deja vu is not brought up a lot of times, and it's not really explained how.
They're trying to say it's something in the brain. I did see some research on that.
Would that go into the astral projection thing?
Um,
Or is that kind of like.
You have to look up to see like the parts of the brain and ties.
Because, I mean, it can also really blow people's minds. Does that go into, we all have a, like, predetermined life, like,
Yeah.
somebody out there, whatever you believe, has decided this is what you're going to do, this is how it's going to happen, this is who you're going to intersect with, and you're able to have flashes of it. I mean, it just, there's
Somebody or that person.
anybody, because it just, deja vu, unlike ghosts or anything like that, something that's considered along that realm, deja vu is not talked about. And if it's anything
Definitely not.
that you could sit there and make an argument about astral projection, telekinesis, just things of that nature, and we know the government really experimented on people during the 60s and 70s, if you want to get into that.
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. I think everybody in this room has one time or another experienced deja vu, no matter what it is. But I've had people even tell me they've experienced it frequently, and that's why I've always wondered, is there an answer? Is there something more to it? Is it paranormal? You know, one of those things, it just, I have wondered about that, and I'm glad somebody brought it up.
I don't think it's paranormal, no.
Okay.
Do I know what it is? No.
Do you think
I
anybody knows what it is?
No.
Okay. Now, or
Not at all.
not to get too religious, do you believe it is a predetermined path that people are on, that God, whatever, or whatever you believe, this is what it is, and every once in a while, you just happen to get that glimpse of what's about to happen in a certain amount of time?
Okay. When it comes to the religious part,
Yes.
I don't believe in God, so that gets thrown out the window.
No, that's fine, it's fine.
I believe it has something to do with the person.
Okay,
Something's unfinished.
okay.
You didn't do what you wanted to do in the life before. You keep coming back until you accomplish what you want to do.
But what if it, okay, like, I know I've had a couple experiences
I
of
was
deja
possessed
vu.
by the spirit of Edgar Allan Poe.
But what if it's something like you felt like, literally, like, I just did that 3 days ago, or, you know,
Yeah.
like something it's very recent, like it
Well-
affects you, and I know people have explained that to me too, that,
We have habitual lives. I mean, our days are essentially the same. We get up, we go to work. You know what I mean? So deja vu could
Groundhog Day.
just be a
Yeah.
like a memory of what you did the day
well,
before.
I was gonna say, people
You know, just
that,
Yeah,
flashing
I mean
into
that
your
kind
head.
of stuff. But
I was gonna say though, people that
when it
are
comes
in
to
that
meeting people,
Groundhog Day mode, wouldn't they be more susceptible than the deja vu because if something changes?
Probably it would kind of be like an alert.
Devastating.
The brain setting like an alert that something's off, something's wrong.
And then that could be the deja vu that person
yeah,
is
that's
having.
like the days thing of it. But when it comes to people,
Yeah.
and not just, we're talking like years later,
Yeah.
you have this feeling you haven't known this person for years. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, not on a daily like basis kind of thing. I mean, yeah, it's everybody has Groundhog Day.
Yeah, oh
I
yeah.
know, it's
It just
everybody's lives.
deja vu is just one of those things. It seems to be one of the few things that's left unexplained out there. And it's, like I said, I'm glad it was brought up. in
Yeah,
this
they are
conversation.
working. They are working. They talk about that. I've seen a couple of science articles, and I can't recall exactly what that one was. But
I have no idea.
It's
I
kind of
can't
like
explain it.
Sasquatch.
Hey, he lives on a different plane.
Oh.
it might just be
No,
a
he
hairy
doesn't.
man. He might just be a tall, hairy man.
So does the Loch Ness Monster.
I was gonna say, you haven't seen me wander around my house.
Oh. All right, Matt. Please elaborate on a repetitive symbol or even a dream that appears in your life.
I like how you read that to me because the last two times I asked what was the question again. I
See,
read it.
see.
I can't really recall. Like going back to what Tim was saying with the deja vu, like I can relate to the deja vu because that's where there's times that I'm out somewhere or I'm doing something and I would say to myself like, man, I swear like I've been here before.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, like, wow, didn't I do that before or something? Even like meeting some people. You know, actually just like what I said to him, I said, you look really familiar. It's like
It's possible.
met you somewhere before, but there's people that I interact with or come across where it's like, wow, it's like I met them before, or you know, I know them from somewhere. Opposed to like even places that I've been at. Well, it's like, you know, even like if you ever like smell something, get like a smell, it kind of gives you like a flashback to like a memory, like an old memory that you had. I get that a lot. Dreams, it's funny because I'd have to say over the last quite a few years, it's like I'll wake up and I'll actually forget that I dreamed. Or I'll be like, wait a minute, yeah, I had a dream last night. It's like, I can never remember these
Yeah,
dreams.
a lot of people don't.
But like when I was younger, you know, I could remember my dreams to the T, but it was mainly, I remember having a lot of more nightmares as a kid. You know, waking up, you know, like more like night terror / nightmare
Certainly.
things, but I understand when it comes to the deja vu, whenever it's like, well, I swear I've been here before, things like that. I think it's that, wow, what you were saying, how was that? It was already planned out, like, hey, this is what
Yeah,
we're gonna do.
predetermined.
Like when like for instance, everybody that knows each other here, for one reason or another, we were meant to cross paths, one way or another, meeting people. Just weird, strange.
No, it isn't. That's how I got a copy of Wolf Cop.
What is Wolf Cops?
I have no clue, but I'm gonna watch it.
I just watched Silver Bullet again. That was great.
Silver
Still a
Bullet
great
is
movie.
awesome.
Still a great movie.
Gary Busey before he went completely over the edge.
Yeah.
And don't forget Corey Haim's in it.
I actually forgot. I didn't know that was him in which Hills Have Eyes remake. The first Hills Have Eyes remake.
Who?
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey ain't in the Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, he was the main one. That
Pluto?
No, he wasn't Pluto. He wasn't Pluto.
No, that's Billy.
He was the
Dragon.
one that says, what was it, with the baby, big, fat, and juicy.
Well,
Oh, was he in there?
Yeah, that's Gary Busey.
You
I don't
have
think
to
he's
kill
in
them
there, no.
all.
Which, by the way, it doesn't matter because the remake just completely blows.
Sucked.
Yes.
Yeah.
The original is awesome.
Yeah, still.
But
like
I will
the
give
remake,
props
too.
to the remake of Hills Have Eyes too.
Was that the same one as
What?
the first one?
The
First,
military?
second?
Yes, that was actually supposed to be Hills Have Eyes 3 back in the day. But because the dog started having flashbacks in '85, that was why they didn't make a third movie.
All right.
That's the guy I might know about.
Tim, how about you? Do you have any repetitive symbols or dreams?
Dreams I do. Symbols, no. I am not a big symbol person. Like Kelly pointed out, might not be as open-minded to maybe know symbols if it smacked me in the face unless it's Yingling. But dreams, literally as a teenager up until like my mid-20s, anybody that has seen Day of the Dead, I used to almost on a nightly basis dream of the opening sequence of Day of the Dead and like place myself in the middle of that, whether it was a zombie or whether it was with Laurie Cardill's character. It was weird, but that was a repetitive dream. Also, too, long before Walking Dead was on, I just have dreams of just mass, like hordes of zombies, just like either fighting them or running through them, and especially too,
It's a lot of
depending how much Crown Royal I drank that night, I would grow wings and start eating zombies' faces. But I mean, the most repetitive one, especially during my teenage years into my mid-20s, and I have no clue to this day of why I would put myself in the middle of Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead is possibly my favorite Romero zombie film. A lot of people's is Dawn of the Dead, which is cool. I have no disrespect. I just think Day of the Dead, I think the reason is because it's so bleak and so, just nothing's gonna go right in that movie. I think that's why I love it. And it just, for some reason, for many years there, it was a repetitive dream. Quite often, I would just, especially during chemistry class during 10th grade, when I would fall asleep during third and fourth period, and Mrs. Street would be like, "Tim, you got a test, okay?" And I'd get up and I'd ace the test, and she never understood how I did that, neither did I, but I never explained that stuff. I slept through half of high school, and that's where you get, how you get here. But yeah, it's just, like I said, it's repetitive. I don't know how to explain it. I don't even know how you can even begin to look something like that up. It's just really weird.
All right, well, my final question is, Halloween just passed. We'll start with Kelly. Halloween just passed. Did you have any paranormal experiences you can share? They say it's a line between the living and the dead is the thinnest on Halloween.
Yeah, and no, because I was at a high school football game.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was nowhere
Nothing.
that,
I hope it was for your
How
kid.
about the days surrounding?
yes.
Okay.
His team's in the playoffs.
Okay, understand. If it wasn't for your kid, I was gonna be like, okay, there's something wrong with it.
No, my son plays for Wash High. So.
Okay, no, it's cool. It's all cool then. It's all cool. Understand.
So yeah, no experiences of a football game.
Okay, how about you? Any Halloween experiences?
Besides taking two little monsters out that drive me crazy and candy. Can't say none this year.
Okay, how about you?
No, but I mean.
Have
if
we
you-
gotten too old for this?
What, Halloween?
Yeah.
Oh,
Halloween
no way.
spirits.
Oh, Halloween, I could tell you, oh my God, it just, nothing paranormal, but
Yeah.
I've had naked people on my porch show up. I've had parents come up and
That's
I've
how
done
you living.
shots with them during
Oh.
Halloween. I've had people, I've traded popcorn balls for 6-packs. Get really drunk on Halloween, usually. Just a lot of random stuff has happened on Halloween at my home. It's a lot of fun, which, including a couple years ago, chased a bunch of 16-year-olds with a chainsaw. No chain was on it, but, you know, the inner me, somebody challenged, 16-year-old challenged me, oh, that doesn't start, you want to bet? It's like, it doesn't.
Jeez.
Let me just say, I gained 10 pounds in about 2 days because I was picking up candy all over the street. That thing fired up first time. I was sitting on a cutting board with blood all over the chainsaw, and they're like, "Oh, that doesn't start." It's like, just went over, flipped the switch, started it, started walking out in the middle of the street with it, and the neighbors. It's one of the few times I talked to my neighbors. The neighbors were just like, "Oh, that's Tim. Don't care. We don't care. There's a bunch of 16-year-olds running across cars." But yeah, it was funny. It was one of those, being a parent,
Yeah.
being able to scare the living crap out of kids, because you know those kids are going to grow up to be like us and they're going to tell us. There was some crazy, you know, so-and-so that we bet to start up a chainsaw and it worked, you know. It's going to be one of those things. I'm about the Halloween experience. I love it.
Yeah.
And it to me, and just what I would think, even though, like you were saying, there's a thin line, I would figure Halloween would be the one time nothing happens just because everybody wants something to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think because everybody, whether you're doing your seances or doing your ghost hunting experiences, or you're out in a pumpkin patch waiting for, you know, the great pumpkin to rise, it's not going to happen. I think you got too many forces going on at that time, or too many people that do believe in it, that want it to happen. It's not going to happen, because in a lot of instances we read about, or like even Kelly was explaining, or Matt's explaining, it's stuff that not many people are witnessing or involved in. It's minor things, but it's stuff that happens when you feel, whether not so much alone, but, you know, a quietness comes over and then something happens. It's Halloween, you just have kids running around, adults acting like kids running around.
Yeah.
And you got so much going on Halloween. I just don't see anything spirit related that would go on, in my opinion.
Well, we went up to Salem, Portland, Maine, and then we were to drive down to Salem on Halloween. Unfortunately, we didn't make it there, but we did actually make it there November 1st, as I said earlier. And unfortunately, there were no paranormal experiences to report. It is a wonderful city, so if you are like interested in, you know, spiritual things and witches and stuff like that, it's a wonderful place to go. So that's essentially it for me. I had no experiences. I didn't get to dress up either. I did get to wear a Batman bikini, so that was kind of good.
Woo!
That was
Where's
good.
the pictures of
In the
that?
hot tub. In the hot tub at the hotel.
I saw that.
The hot tub in the
Yeah, I
hotel?
put one up.
Ah. When's this over? Is that on Facebook? Because I'd like to go home now. Check this Batman bikini out.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we are finished. We are finished now.
Apparently Kelly went to go look at it again too.
I have to pay, or there's gonna be a
Oh, I totally understand.
we are finished with our questions, so if anybody out here has anything they want to ask any of these lovely people.
Yeah, you. Do you have your hand up?
No.
Well, I have a question for everybody and anybody. Whether you're adults or kids, have you ever like had an experience where you felt like there was a house that was haunted? Like, did you hear stories, stuff like that? Anything that did you actually get to go in it? Even a haunted school, like it? You're shaking your head, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get to go in it though.
Like, was there anything there?
There's a house
Did
next to
like
our
credence to the
post
stories or myths about the house? Like that it was haunted?
I'm not interrupting. Or, I don't want to. Oh, okay.
Well, Aaron, you do some of these
Let her.
tours,
I
right?
didn't want to. Yeah. I mean, I occasionally ghost hunt and things like that. I guess I'm a medium too. I would consider myself one. Into energies. I can read people and vibes and go in a place and know if it's haunted or not or.
Is that something you
Anything,
just
it's-
learned as you became an adult? Was it something that?
Childhood. It's been with me like through my whole life, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, I've had experiences, when I was a kid, in a particular bedroom. It seemed to be only in that bedroom that I happened to be in, but like my brother slept in it years ago and experienced the same thing. But like I've astral projected before.
Explain in detail that one.
Like you see yourself
Yeah.
sleeping, and it's like the same room, but it's like in a different kind of like dimension, I want to say. But
When you saw
Same.
yourself sleeping, did you think that when you woke up, did you think it was a dream?
yeah, pretty much. It's kind of hard to explain
Were you
like a little further, but
were you born in the 70s, or are you younger than my
Some-
old ass?
I don't know. Actually, I have existed before too, but I don't know what
Okay, because the reason I was bringing it up,
where I'm
anybody
from or
see,
just like.
anybody see the movie Suspect Zero?
Yeah.
And where Ben Kingsley plays a character that the government experimented on with LSD and some other stuff. There is a lot of studies, and it wasn't just the government. Like parents, like my parents of that generation, I was born in 75, like a lot of kids of the 70s that are basically in the late 30s now have talked about what you're talking about. And there's people, like scientists have even come out and done these studies that they believe that our parents doing a lot of LSD and just different drugs and stuff like that didn't realize they were doing it while pregnant or during pregnancy or getting pregnant, that this actually has affected those areas of the brain to be able to have ESP, feel like they have out-of-body experiences on a regular basis. There's a lot of stuff about this that the drugs then, of course, were different, and then it wasn't just the government, and it really affects. They believe why people do all this ghost hunting and why there's more mediums and different things nowadays of that, and it's just not people trying to make a quick buck or anything like that. There's a lot of things like that. It's really cool to read about cool stuff, whether it's true or not.
Okay, so I ghost hunt because my parents did drugs.
That's what they claim. I just gotta wonder what my mom was doing, because all I've wanted to watch is horror movies since I was 3 years old.
Same here.
And nobody in my family likes horror movies.
Exactly the same.
I got a quick
Yeah.
question for that. Saying that you're a medium, do you think that would it be more than if spirits were to enter through to you to say speak with us? Now, do you think like any like lightful spirits would do it, or do you just think that it just has to be demonic spirits, negative spirits, or anything dark? Do you think any spirit, like, do you think your grandmother would come down and come into like somebody who's a medium to speak to you? Because I always thought that if any spirits are possessive, or are going through somebody as a medium, I would think they would be more demonic and dark. That's doing the possessing.
I mean, it could be either
Was it never
or.
got brought up? We didn't
That's
speak
true.
about it.
Who believes in the demonic?
Yeah, because I was even going to bring up the Warrens because they're big
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
now
we were gonna try to go to
with the Conjuring
Connecticut.
and Annabelle and
Yeah,
Haunting.
that's in Monroe, Connecticut. It's actually quite close. I think it's only a 7-hour drive.
Yeah, because there's a lot of that because of.
Road trip.
I am. I'm like, oh,
We're going.
Dude, I mean, at the same time, people will celebrate them as legit. Like, you do research. Like, I just watched the Amityville, the true story about the Amityville horror, and basically, it's just an enterprise. Like, they really went into that. It was all made up. It is all BS from the start, which sucks because as a kid, that was a scary thing that we grew up with in the early '80s.
I thought the prequel was better.
But it was scary. It just something, you could believe that. And to this day, like up until a few years ago, like a lot of this information came out basically disproving that. Now, reading into that, the Warrens supposedly were one of the first people to be in this house investigating it
yeah.
for paranormal or ghosts or whatnot. And they claimed something was there. And there's people disputing that the Warrens just did it to sell books and things of that nature at the time. And the same company that helped the Lutzes get in, whoever wrote the original novelization of the Amityville Horror, that was the same company that put out some of the Warrens books at the time. There's a lot of stuff in there, but it just...
The oldest kids just come out and said his stepdad was just a jerk, and that was all
Yeah,
it was.
yeah,
He was
it just...
a jerk.
I hate the Annabelle doll. I'm sorry.
It's
Well,
just,
it's
there's a
actually-
lot of
That's
stuff
not
to go
just
through
the actual
Raggedy
doll.
when it comes
The
Yeah.
Annabelle doll's a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah, we
It's
watched
not even-
we watched a video of a guy who was in the actual Warren Museum, and we saw the Raggedy Ann doll sitting there. And we were like, that's not Annabelle, because obviously the movie
Yeah.
confuses us.
Yeah, makes it look
So,
real.
but there is a guide on YouTube, if you check it out, he goes through a tour of the whole thing. And he tells you about how a motorcyclist apparently went into the museum, was taunting the doll, and then wrecked it. Him and his girlfriend wrecked it and died. So,
I was gonna say-
They say there's a lot of stuff.
I was going to say, the Warrens, because...
We were going to go to it. We were going to actually.
Yeah, the Warrens are possibly the most interesting at the same time, like, you can dispute what they were doing at the time too, because no matter where you're going with the research, you can find out about all the stuff, whether it's ghost hunting, predicting paranormal. At the same time, as you branch off into different websites and everything, you'll find out, and of course books too, stories about them, like the Catholic religion actually seeking out in secret ways, talking to the Warrens about exorcisms and stuff like that. Whether or not this all went down, who knows for sure, but I just think it's pretty cool that, that was still going on.
Well,
Those types of things.
the Warrens
were
had
happening.
that would be such a fascinating job, because there are a lot of people who fear spirits. I mean, it's very lucrative. You are the person who comes there.
Well, too, and the reason I bring up about the religion, the church tries so much to
Discredit.
Bring the
discredit or downplay anything of that nature, and it's just really cool to hear, read about that, because it's like if that's true at all, I think that's really cool. It still has that
Well,
aspect.
if less and less belief in God, how long before it just goes away completely?
It's
Well,
not
you
too long.
Right.
I mean, the
If
internet.
there's no God, there's no Satan, there's no paranormal.
Well, that was the thing about when I
I
got.
wanted to ask you that because you said you didn't believe in God, but do you believe in Satan?
You can't believe in one and not the other.
I don't believe in Satan as everybody sees. I believe in evil,
Okay.
but I believe that these things were there way before religion came into play for anybody.
You believe evil exists.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
But you just don't believe the guy holding the pitchfork and. Okay.
We watched a movie the other day that I thought was actually it was kind of cool too. It was different. To Deliver Us from Evil. Anybody see that?
I've wanted to. It looks cool.
It was different. I mean, he's an investigator. There's this strange series of events that are going on in town, and they all end up being linked
check
It's
it out.
different.
It sounds familiar.
It's different. It's not all that knocking stuff. Like you see each person that is inhibited or inhabited. I mean, acting strange, but shut up. Strangely the same, but like a little bit different.
In the same vein, have you seen the film Possession of Michael King?
No, I saw it in the Redbox.
Well, yeah, it came on demand in Redbox and all that in late August. Like, no one was talking about it, and apparently, like, soon as this hit Netflix, like, I'd say after Labor Day or so, people were picking up and ranting and raving about it. I had a chance to watch it like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it. I'm not a big fan of those types of movies, because especially like Possession of Emily Rose, I thought was kind of a big piece of crap.
Yeah, some.
And a lot of those ones. This is really good because this comes from the aspect of a guy that wants to disprove everything after his wife dies. And he finds out his wife was talking to a psychic 6 months before she died. And he's like, it's like kind of stuff you heard with Houdini was doing back in the day, when early 1900s, when Houdini like decided he was going to put all his energy into disproving psychics and other things of that nature. And this guy decides he is going to film everything 24/7, no matter whether he investigates Satanism, witchcraft. He goes through the whole entire gauntlet. He even tries to bring up black magic.
Yeah.
It gets into some really weird places that I can't even speak of because there's kids in the room.
Yeah. Oh.
But it's well worth checking out because it's funny, but it's really works on a creepy level because it's a slow burn kind of thing. Because he's just so driven after his wife dies that like friends are telling him, at some point maybe you're gonna mess with the wrong force or something at that point, and it just finally he doesn't know when, but something starts to happen. And like I said, it's interesting. It was definitely a cool take. It wasn't, hey, they're possessed by so and so, and that's why this is going. No, this is like a whole different perspective on it. He brings that realm of reality TV. I'm going to sell this into a show. This is where I'm going to make money off of it. But at the same time, I'm going to disprove all the paranormal crap that's out there. But he really finds himself into something, and it gets really interesting. It's a really cool movie, very underrated. I'm surprised that it flew under the radar and came.
Did you write a review for this one?
Yes,
Good.
I did. It is at grossmediareviews.com. You go check it out. It's one of the best movies of the year. Not as good as Dead Snow 2, but it's still one of the best movies of the year.
I know they made Dead Snow.
Yes, they did. Do yourself a favor. Wait until December. It comes out on demand. I have friends. I've already seen it. But I think the Hollywood's actually playing it. They played it once. I think it's still hitting theaters. So check the Hollywood. I think they have it playing again like Thanksgiving weekend or something. So
yeah, the
it's still,
Hollywood's great for seeing, we saw Creepshow and Poltergeist down there.
Oh,
It's good for seeing
Did you
your
go
old
for the
classics.
Creepshow?
Oh yeah.
Yep, it was
I wanted to
great.
go.
Oh, it was great.
I was gonna say Wednesday before Halloween,
That's
over
what,
150 people showed up to see Halloween.
Oh, wow.
I was there.
Well, I just checked to see the ones I really wanted to see in the beginning.
Really?
My 5
All right,
year-old
well,
took me
does
to
the
see
audience have any
They
more
don't need you.
questions or anything?
I haven't seen that yet.
You guys have anything? If you guys want to do a quick promotion of your work or anything, we'll wrap this up too for everyone.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kelly, you go first.
I don't have anything to promote. I just,
You just did it for fun.
yeah.
Do you
That's cool.
I don't-
will you be hired if somebody needed an investigation in their house? Would you be
I'd be a willing participant, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
You have really cool eye color.
Thank you.
Matt, I think this is your chance to hire
Matt?
her.
I was thinking you guys could work together. I'm just saying.
Man, we'll have to,
See?
well, real quick, if things really want to see or experience something paranormal, ghosts, I say check out Livermore. But if you're gonna go,
I'm gonna Google that.
don't go with like 2 carloads of people or
Just
anything
like
like
3 or
that.
4
It'd be like, like the 3 of you right there. Go with 2 or 3 people. When you pull up and you just sit in your car for a moment, You know, after you're in there for a while, you know, it starts to clog up. Yeah, you can do that. You can bring that too if you want to, you know, get in touch, you know. With
Enhances the ghost hunting experience,
Yeah.
apparently.
I never go without it. Never go without it. What do you see? Because you remember seeing it.
Faces, like handprints.
Wash your windows, because I've taken people and I always stop and I clean my windows. I don't want people like, oh, those fingerprints were already on your windshield.
Yeah.
You'll see hands.
Yeah.
Come on, you'll see fingerprints. You even see them little, like, wide smile faces. It will happen. Check it out.
Tim, I think you and I should go through a challenge.
It's possible.
Paranormal challenge.
That's possible.
Let's do one.
Don't forget to talk about your book, damn it.
I know!
I actually have, I don't have any copies today. I have the Demon Zombieware created by Joel and Jess Harper. They're my, help me out here.
Team.
Team. Yeah. No website.
Lake Bodum.
Lake Bodum murder.
Lake Bodum Blood
There
Murders.
you go.
Stay away from, I have other books, but right now they're getting ready to get out of contract, and I actually just got the rights back to my original zombie writings, which I don't even know when I will re-release
Which,
that.
by the way, David, you would enjoy his zombie books. They're set in Pittsburgh.
Cool.
Pretty cool books. I enjoyed them. It was the earlier work.
Yeah, from over 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, earlier work. It's really cool. You would enjoy it. Still City Outbreak.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
That's what I'm getting back.
It'd be
at.
along the lines of
That's
like
back
what you
there.
did with The Fall of Tomorrow.
Cool.
So
Sounds good.
yeah, for anybody that's interested, don't forget another famous person, David
Not really.
Fairhead,
Nah, not
wrote
famous
an
yet.
awesome book called The Fall of Tomorrow. It's like how do I explain it? Like Cthulhu
You said it all.
puked up on Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, you're a writer. You,
Copies
yeah,
for sale right over
definitely.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
Oh yeah.
there. Got Matt's book around here somewhere.
Yeah, like I said,
Still
if you're in-
sitting there collecting dust, huh?
Was that your only? Was that your only book review that you did?
No, I
You've done books?
reviewed his the Lake
Yeah.
Bodum murders. I enjoyed that a lot too. Really cool
Check
stuff.
it
I
out.
like his writing. Like I said, I like yours. Rain Bites in the Zombies. Definitely check out Matt's stuff.
Cool.
If you're into Lovecraft, get David Fairhead's really cool stuff.
Nice man. Appreciate it.
If you're just weird and retarded, there's me. Big ass book of gross movie reviews. These are the last 2 copies. Once these are gone, they're gone.
I think I have one also.
Chris has one still. Because this is the next book, I'm going back to self-publishing. It is either going to be the new beginning or the end of me being an author. I will keep the website, grossmoviereviews.com, running until they put me down like a dog. So
I say no to the end.
it's just,
Right.
well, it's one of those
I say
things.
no.
I've done self-publishing. I've gone the publishing route. It's very hard to sell book of reviews, let alone trying to sell a book to publishers these days. Everything going digital, everything going streaming. It's a very hard industry to either break into or consistently try to deal with. Or if you're just stubborn like me and stay independent the whole time you do it to begin with.
That's me.
Even like when you are working with a publisher, it's one of those, here's a handshake, here's so many free books.
Good luck.
Yeah,
I'll keep
good
most
luck.
of your money. I'll give you a couple.
No,
cents.
that was the sad part. Dr. Puss is a great dude. He had a bunch of authors under him, and that was the sad part. I was one of the best-selling authors under Dr. Puss in Library of the Living Dead, and it was one of those funny things. Everybody that he had under him was signed to an agreement where it was just him and I got together one night, and he's like, I really laughed my ass off at your reviews. Can I publish your next book? Sure. How much do I get out of this? How about you just ask for amount of copies, I'll keep giving them to you. Okay. That was how the deal went, and now that that's pretty much done, it looks like I'm going to do self-publishing one more time and
Is
see
he
how it goes.
is he done?
I believe he is. He's a good guy, but I believe that whole thing is done. I think he ran into a lot of health problems,
Yeah.
from what I've been told. And
Well, I haven't heard anything in
Yeah.
like actually a few years. That's the last I heard that he was.
yeah, So if anybody's interested, I have this stuff, and of course, I have zombie movies. But you can always go to Gross Movie Reviews.
I own this.
You can always go to grossmoviereviews.com where I post reviews and other information by independent filmmakers there on a regular basis. Also, you can catch me at Bloodbaths and Boomsticks, which you can get at bloodbathsandboomstickspodcast.blogspot.com. On a weekly basis, cover random movies. Like this past Sunday, I covered Killdozer, which is about a alien force on a 70s TV movie takes over a bulldozer and kills Robert Urich that was in Spencer for Hire. Yes, I love the random
Aliens
movies.
are always good.
And, you know, if it isn't that, like this week I'm covering Invaluable, which is a documentary about Tom Sullivan. So we pull out movies out of our butt a lot of times for the podcast just to be different. It's fans doing a podcast. But it gives me a chance to talk to another audience about horror movies, which I could do all day. But yeah, please. And like I said, take a card, email me. I'm on Facebook. I even made sure the Facebook address is only Gross Movie Reviews, so people in high school can't find me, and they still haven't. So please, if it's not me, you know, check out Matt's work, check out David's work. Celebrate Kelly for being cool enough to put up with my crap, but also do it for fun and not do it for the money like a lot of the
Right.
people that are doing it on TV.
That's an
Are
amen.
doing
Yeah,
it.
that
That's
one.
really cool. So, and don't forget to check out Christine's work. She's done a lot of cool stuff author-wise.
Not recently, but I have 3 books I'm working on that will be released eventually.
Don't forget
Had the
her
pleasure of
starring
sharing a
appearance in
panel with
Chemical Skyline.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Yes.
Jason, yeah.
And if you want to re-watch this episode, I am doing some camera conversions and equipment changes, so it may take a little bit of time, but find SolsticeNightSky Productions on Facebook,
I know.
and you'll be able to see the teaser. There will be a teaser for this. There will also be the full panel. And also, once again, I want to thank Chris Rickert Beagle Books. This is the awesomest bookstore in Pittsburgh. I'm not kidding. But this is the last panel of 2014. So there may be some next year, so just stay tuned.
This is the
We should do
only
one around
bookstore that I
Christmas.
shop at, and that's saying a
Christmas.
lot.
We should do one
Nobody
around
comes
Christmas saying
out
is
on
Santa Claus
Christmas.
really safe? You know.
That'll be a short panel.
What do you
All right.
think about that?
It's a short panel. Well, thank you again, everyone. Thanks for coming. and everything. Any last
Thanks
questions?
for having me.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, panelists. You guys were awesome. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, I'm gonna turn it over.
There's a whole section on paranormal stuff. I'll leave that.
Yeah.
Yes, there you
check
go.
out
There you go.
Paranormal.
Including ghost stories
Yes,
set in
ma'am.
Pittsburgh.